Hey everyone, welcome back to my next in the series of learning how to draw. Today we're going to go over how to have line show form when you're drawing. So if we look at this picture right here, hopefully you can see that these lines are showing that that there are two apples that are here. And the lines are showing the form of the apples by taking the contour of the form. So before I have you draw something like this, a quick exercise or to help you figure this out would be for you just to draw a sphere, and I want you to think about the sphere that you looked at maybe in social studies class, or a globe, I should say. I said a sphere, but I meant a globe. So think about a globe that you looked at in social studies class. So what you can do is just take something that you can just trace a perfect circle with. Okay, so I'm just going to take this piece of, or this masking tape, and I'm going to trace it. And now what you're going to do is just make an oval right about there, okay? And I'm going to make an oval where, as I make my oval, I'm going to have this part right here have a little bit more space than what's between here and here. So I'll make another one. You'll see my distance is here. And then as I come out, it's going to be a little bit farther. Now, practicing on trying to make a sphere, I think, is what works out pretty well when you want to translate that to other organic forms. So now, if I were to continue this, okay, now that's not going to be seen because we're going over the edge of the sphere, but just so you can kind of understand what's happening with this. Now don't forget, when you get to this edge, try to have that corner hook over. And if it helps you, what you can do is just continue to make these lines like this. So I'll do the same thing. I'll come out a little bit more, come around. And if you can visualize this part up here in your head, and you don't need to draw that, that's okay. All right, and we'll do another one. Again, we're going to make a line over here. We're going to come around. And this distance here should be greater than what's here. Okay, so you should be pushing out a little bit more. And I probably came down just a little bit too much, but that's okay. I think it's all going to work out. Okay. Now I'm at the halfway point of, it looks like the halfway point of my sphere. Okay, so what does that mean? So now my lines, as they get closer to the bottom, they should probably start to get closer again. So this is going to happen, but in reverse down here. Okay, now I'm not going to finish my lines over here. You can keep finishing them if you want to, but I'm just going to curve and bring it down. Okay, and I'll do it again. I don't know if you can see, but I went up a little bit, a little high on this side. So what you can do to check it is just draw, if you want to draw like a little line across, just to see if this and this are evenly across. So that's one way you can just kind of do a quick little check. And we want our lowest point to be right here in the middle. Okay. and we want this part to curve up. And now this part down here is going to do the same thing. And we'll hook up. So, oh, it's got a little dark over here. That's okay. Let me just make a little correction over here. You'll probably see that in a lot of my videos. As I'm drawing, you put lines down, you look at it, and you check to see if you need to make an adjustment, a correction. So don't get frustrated with the process. Just realize that drawing is a process. It's a process of drawing, trying, and then making a correction. So don't be afraid to start. Maybe you might have this sense that I can't draw and it's not worth even trying because it doesn't come out the way that I want it to. Well, you have to give it a go. You have to start with something. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is put in my, these would be my, if you want to think about this like a globe, these would be my lines of latitude. And now I want to put my lines of longitude in. So the first one is easy. So the first one we're just going to put a line right down the middle. So if you can, try to just draw a straight line right down the middle. Okay. Now what I would advise you to do is put one that's right in the middle. So you're going to start off, you're going to make a cross here. And what you're going to do is almost follow this exactly, this curve. You're just going to follow it just a little bit lower. And we're going to continue it down. Okay. Now we're going to cut it in half, and we're going to go this way. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. And we'll do the same thing over here. So we'll take this line and go up. Okay. Whoops. I probably went a little bit too heavy with these lines down here. It's okay. So this can help your brain to just wrap around the idea of creating form. Now what I'm going to do is also add a few more lines in between. And if you wanted to, you could also probably add. It looks like I kind of would like to add another line here in the middle. And I'm just going to go ahead and do it. It might not be correct, but I kind of can't help it. So let's see. Let's just see how it turns out. Just give it a go. See what it looks like. I think sometimes when you first struggle with doing this, or if you try it for the first time, probably the hardest thing is getting these curves here. So I've seen some of my students take these lines, and then as they get closer to the edge, when they get to this curve, they just kind of go flat out, or they flatten the curve instead of just really kind of hooking it up. Okay, so there's my now there's my globe, okay, or my sphere. Now, how can this translate maybe into, let's say I asked you to draw a picture of an apple and use the same kind of concepts of using these contour lines, okay, because they're following the contours. And really what we're doing right now is a cross-contour drawing, because we're taking our contours, which are these lines, which are following the contours or the edge of the form, and then we're crossing them. Okay, so let's say I were to draw an apple, and if you look at this as the example, okay, how would I go about doing that? Well, if you look, you can either look at a real apple or as an exercise, what I want you to do is first try to do this, okay, then look at a real apple, and then first grab the contour or just the outside edge of the apple. So right now, I'm just going to make one up in my head. Okay, so I apologize if this doesn't kind of come out well my first try. So I'm aiming for something with a little bit of symmetry, so if I cut this down in the middle, it'll be almost the same on both sides, but if it isn't, that's okay. I think I want to come out just a little bit more over here. Okay, I don't have to get too picky. Okay, so there's my apple. Okay, and now what I want to do is just show that part where the stem is. So I'm just going to make a little bit of a line here, and let's just put in a quick stem, just so we can kind of figure out where that's going to be. And I'll just do a little oval there. All right, now we're going to use the same concepts of what we just picked up from doing the globe. Okay, we're going to try to figure out how to do the contours of the apple and do a cross contour of it. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to do this. And I'll do it again, just like we did with our globe. I'm following the contour of the apple. And the lines that are over here, the space in between, are going to be closer than the space that's back here. Okay, I'm going to make sure my line hooks down. And as I go further down, I'm going to get a little bit closer to my line that was above. A little closer, and if you notice this little part that's kind of going up, I want to kind of show the form. See, if I just make these all the same width, it's all going to kind of flatten, but I want to show that this is kind of pushing in a little bit, like this part is pushing in. So I'm going to take my line and just kind of creep up in there a little bit. And I'll do the same thing. I'll push up a little bit more. And as I get closer to the bottom, you can see that they're going to just keep getting a little bit closer. Okay, same thing as we did before. with our globe. I'll draw a line right down the middle. Okay. And this part might be a little trickier, but because the stem goes kind of like down in here a little bit, I'm going to pretend my line is kind of like down in here, and I'll actually kind of come up and around like this. And I'll do this. And I'm going to start to come out now. I'll curve over and down. And curve over and down. Here we go. And I'm hoping that this kind of something's kind of clicking for you. Hopefully there's a little bit of a light bulb in your brain that's kind of maybe putting this together and trying to figuring out how to almost kind of see everything. And if you're a computer person, or if you like to maybe do 3D objects, or you're starting to do CG, if you're trying to draw, maybe it might be easier for you to think of objects like a wireframe. So you can see everything like a wireframe. Okay, there we go. And I'll put a few more at the top. And there's my cross contour apple. Okay. Now, if you wanted to do a cross contour drawing of this, if you wanted to make it look more realistic, you go ahead and then start to put in many more lines and get them much closer together. But for now, we're just doing this almost as an exercise. I'm kind of having you do a cross contour, almost like a wireframe drawing of what you see. So go ahead and find, I would say start with an apple, and then you can grab different kinds of fruit. I think fruit is a good kind of way of starting to do this. Grab a banana or a pear. That would also be a good one to choose as well. And then start to try to do this as just exercises for creating form using cross contour line. And I'm hoping that this method is going to help you to kind of see things and draw a little bit better. So that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope I brought you some value today, and I'm looking forward to giving you another lesson. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.